person of the entity or a principal of the entity. And there are two different applications, one for the firm and one for the individual. Both of those applications are going to be submitted through the NFA's registration system. It's an online registration system, and basically your service provider or law firm will be able to kind of hold your hand through that process. But it will entail both filing a Form 7R at the firm level and a Form 8R at the individual level. Now, both of these forms are basic disclosure forms that have some of the basic information regarding either the entity or the individual, address, former disciplinary history, that sort of thing. Now, there are some fees involved with both of those applications, which, as you can see on the slide here. And then with regard to the individual, there's also a couple of more requirements. First, the individual must have passed the Series 3 and the Series 34 exam, and the individual will need to submit fingerprint cards to the NFA. Now, there is, with regard to the proficiency exam, there's a potential grandfathering provision based on when the Farm Bill was actually passed. It's not clear yet whether or not this grandfather provision is going to remain or is going to be part of the proposed CFTC rules. But again, we will let you know as soon as we know. As part of the kind of full registration process before you're actually able to go out and solicit clients, the CTA or the CPO is also going to need to have their disclosure documents reviewed. And if you're a Forex introducing broker, then you're also going to have to complete some other forms before the registration process will be fully complete. Moving on to the exams, we've got the Series 3 exam and the Series 34 exam. The Series 3 exam has been around for a while. It's the General Futures exam, and it is composed of 120 questions, and it's 2.5 hours. The kind of interesting thing about the Series 3 exam is that there's actually two parts to the exam, and in order to pass the exam, you need to score 70% on both parts and not have a score of 70% in the aggregate. So you need to have at least 70% for each part, both market knowledge and U.S. regulations. And here I've also included some of the major topics that are covered in the exam. Now, I've actually taken this exam before and passed it, and have written a summary about the exam on my other website, hedgefundlawblog.com. You can access that article through that website, and I will also be posting a description of the process that I went through on this Forex registration website as well. So be looking for that. The Series 34 exam, as you may have heard about, is the new Forex exam. It has just recently been. You can actually sit for this exam now, or so I've been told by the NFA. I'm currently studying for this exam, so I will be coming back to the websites to update my experience on taking the exam and studying for the exam. I'm also going to have some of the study guides that I'm going to post some of the study guides that I use to the exam. Now, I've got another website devoted strictly to the Series 34. It's series34exam.com, and you can access that website for more information on that specific exam. It's going to be a shorter exam, 40 questions, an hour long, and the passing score is 70%. There are about 5 different sections, and they're not equally weighted, but it does work out to close to anywhere from 6 to 10 questions kind of in each one of these sections. So it's a little bit shorter, or quite a bit shorter than the Series 3 exam, and covers these topics. Now, when you register for either the Series 3 or the Series 34 exam, you're going to be doing it through what's called the U10 process. The U10 can either be submitted online through the FINRA website, or it can be mailed in. Once the U10 has been processed by FINRA, you can either go to the Pearson or Prometric testing centers, their websites, and schedule a time for you to take one of these exams during an available time period. So I've got more information on that on my various websites. I'll also be posting it to this website as well, forexregistration.com. With regard to the disclosure documents, we basically have two different sets of disclosure documents. There's the CTA and the CPO. Now, because of the differences in the actual structure of these groups, the disclosure documents are going to be a little bit different. For the CTA, you've got separately managed accounts, and accordingly, you're going to have a disclosure document and a trading agreement. And then for the CPO, you've got a fund structure, so you've got kind of an extra agreement. You've got the disclosure document, which is the PPM, and then an operating agreement, and then subscription documents. Generally, these two groups kind of have the same information included in both of the disclosure documents, just in a little bit different of a format. But it's basically going to discuss the high points of the investment program, some of the major risks, discussion of the manager and its background, and a discussion of the major fees, et cetera, et cetera. These disclosure documents are going to be reviewed by the NFA prior to your ability to go out and solicit customers with these, and we'll discuss that a little bit later when we discuss the timeline involved. For Forex introducing brokers, there's a little bit different of a requirement. Basically, the Forex introducing broker has to file a form with the NFA depending on the category of IB that is involved. There's two different categories. There's an independent IB and a guaranteed IB. The independent IP needs to maintain a $45,000 net capital at all times, and obviously that's a high threshold, and so that's why there is the other category of an IB. The independent IB is also going to need to submit basically a balance sheet and a cover sheet discussing the IB. For the guaranteed introducing broker, basically the FDM sponsors the IB, and the IB will need to submit the guarantee agreement to the NFA for their review prior to soliciting customers. So now we get to the timeline involved in the Forex registration process. There are some general considerations. First of all, you should contact us at forexregistration.com, and we will have a consultation to discuss your business and how exactly we're going to proceed through the registration process. Obviously, there are different considerations if a business is already started versus if it is starting brand new.